Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 2019 season number 18, round number 2, here around the wonderful circuit of Bahrain. My name is King-Kodiak and I'll be your commentator throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, I am very happy to say, returning to my side and hopefully remaining with me for this season, it is Allflattious!
Hello everyone, welcome to Bahrain. It's great to be back alongside the man himself, Mr. Kodiak. Apologies for not being here last week, but I'm excited to see what amazing driving we will be experiencing this evening with this fantastic quality of lineup we have here in Split 1 this season.
Indeed. Hopefully sorted the issues I had last week. We will see, quite frankly. So, we have got a 20-car lineup for this evening's race. We do have a couple of changes to talk about, so let's go through who we have got. Mr. Nick, who have we got representing the McLarens?
Representing the McLarens, currently top of your screen on the timing lists, we have VSR Collis, and also number 13 on the list at the moment, VSR Lassie. So we have two VSRs, two McLaren drivers.
In the Saubers, Veloci Formula Danny, who came home in 8th position last week in Australia. He is joined by Sally Salter, looking to avoid his catastrophe of the qualifying run that he had. That sadly, he was on an absolute cracking lap, but alas, found someone in the penultimate corner, which invalidated his lap, and then unfortunately didn't race thereafter. Who represents the Red Bulls?
In the Red Bulls, we have, just give me a moment, I'm getting new to the league myself. We have Samuel Libert, who is just coming through the final corner now, about to set one of the first laps in the qualifying session. He is a reserve driver coming in for this race. He just comes into the pit lane now. And also we have KMH Garrix as well, who's just come out of the pit lane to set a qualifying lap. So we have Samuel Libert and Garrix representing the Red Bull.
In the Haas, Veloci James was not with us last time out, but he is with us. Mr. Baldwin representing the dark colours, and he also has, very excited to introduce once again Fabrizio Donoso. He is a reserve for this league at the moment, but if we have unfortunately lost a driver from our lineup, we will go through when we get there. It's actually one of our Red Bulls. Chromatic, sadly, who finished first on the road last week, but was demoted to second due to penalties. Sadly, is no longer able to commit to the league due to his esports commitments with Red Bull. So his space will be taken by Sam Lebert, we believe, and Fabrizio will be first reserve. So we will see if hopefully we'll see a lot more of Mr. Donoso in the Mercedes, please.
In the Mercs, we have, again, I'm just trying to find out. We have, first one is VP Prejnader, running one of the Mercs this evening, going out on the hard tyres at the moment. Quite a few drivers are going out on the hard tyres. You can see Veloce James currently on pole position, Mr. Baldwin with a 27.7. And the other Mercedes driver, third on the timing list at the moment, who's just dropped down to fourth, is Daniel Shield of New Zealand, I believe.
He is from that continent indeed, was signed by the mighty team this time around, and absolutely fair play. Norfolk Blue, he was otherwise known as. In the Scarlet Ferraris, we have Mateus, who's got a time on the board of 28.207, and VSR Corny. I'm surprised to see so much hard usage out there, but then we're not exactly going to have a lot of rain unless Bernie gets out there with his old sprinkler idea that he pitched a few years ago. So he will, we're fairly sure that people can burn up the heart and then never need to see them again. In the it's one move in the racing points, we have got
Sonic Saltuk, who's just gone in third place at the timing screens, and he's just dropped down to fourth, incidentally. And a CRG Steve as well is the other racing point there in fifth place. Very tight at the top, as you can see. Only 0.2 of a second between second and fifth. And we still have 11.5 minutes to go of this qualifying session.
Representing Williams, it is the Flying Finn. Now, I'm pretty sure the second Sultan, both Sultans are under their own name. So we will have this slight confusion because two people are known as Flying Finn. I believe the Sultan is remaining under his own name. So Flying Finn refers to this one in the Williams, by and large. I believe that is the agreement in place. The other one is Veloci Hypers. There he is, coming down towards 10.11. He's gone on the... he is on the hards. So the only person not is actually Formula Danny, strangely. Did he do that time on it? He did that time, 23.5 on the soft, strangely. He must be just getting a few sighted laps out there. It's a very strange time to be setting on the soft tyres, if that's the case. So those are all... Go on.
No, you carry on. I was just going to say, I don't think we are the kind of people to be questioning the mind of Veloce Formula Danny.
Who represents our Toro Rosso team?
Our Toro Rosso team, we have Photon, currently 15th on the grid. He's just about to start a lap time. And we also have Manuel Biancalila as well, currently out there on the soft tyres, just going through Sector 2. So I'm interested to see what kind of time he sets on the board, as we've just had a new pole time set by Fabrizio Donoso of 27.5. So we are getting pretty rapid on those hard tyres. So it'll be interesting to see whether Biancalila is actually that much faster on those softs. The reason why we may be seeing a lot of hard tyre usage in qualifying is due to the fact that this track is a track that does eat up the tyres. So it may well be a case that the soft tyres are just going to be discarded and a lot of drivers just want to start on the hards. But as I say, it will be interesting to see as Biancalila just comes through the final corner now, whether he does complete this lap. It looks like he will. and what sort of time he's going to set, and he does in fact bin the lap. So again, probably going to go on the hards, just using the softs for a tighter lap.
It was interesting to see that we're not seeing. Interesting to see that we're not seeing. Let's try that entire sentence again. We're not seeing like a big gap. You know, you tend to see a big burst at the beginning of qualifying, and then everybody sits still for a while, and then a big banzai at the end. Lots of people out there doing lots of laps. Fine by us, believe me, that's not a complaint. That's just an interesting note. Okay, and finally, our Renault representatives. Jan Fehler was not with us last week as he was taking a test, I believe. He was sitting in exams. I hope you do well in that, Jan. And last week's race winner, Jarno Opmeer, currently in second position again on the hards by very little. My goodness, 48th. Whoa, 1/10 separates the top three. Nicely done. Everybody, every single car is on the hards now. So this is really shaping up to be a fascinating qualifying session, of which we have 8.25 minutes remaining.
Indeed, so as you can see, half a second just about is separating the top 11 drivers at the moment, and as we say, 1/10 is separating the top three. It is so close at the moment, and we just have Manuel Biancalila yet to set a time. He is out on the hard tyres once again. So we'll see probably an entire grid's worth of hard tyre running.
Indeed we will. Where is he? He is that the last corner he's coming to? Not quite.
No, he's currently he's on an outlap in just entering the second sector.
So he is.
Oh, we've got some mediums coming out at the moment.
Oh, we do. Well, Fabrizio's looking at it, as is Preachnader. They haven't come out yet, but okay, so looking at Banzai on the medium tyres. Interesting. Oh, that's one of the Ferraris. That's Mateus in 15th. That's just nipped by. Now, last week, we had 16 drivers, all of them separated by less than a second by the time qualifying had concluded. Absolutely incredible stuff. So,
at the moment, the entire grid is separated by a second. So, more crazy this round.
Yep, with more people in it as well. I think it's a longer lap, if I remember. I'm hopeless at remembering anything. I barely remember my children's names, but I'm pretty sure it's a longer lap here. So having more cars within a second's gap is going to be pretty amazing. Oh, more mediums popping up on the tyre chart now. That's Gerrits and Collis considering the yellow marks. Let's have a hot lap then on board with the one man that is yet to get a time on the board, Manuel Biancalila. Over to the left-hand side, you can see the shiny part of the tyre indicating it's very, very new. Heavy on the brakes, doesn't quite pick up the apex of one. Sweeps through two. He's got one of the Ferraris already ahead of him. It is indeed Mateus, who jumps up to 9th with a 1:28 dead. Nice and round lap time there. Screams up to turn 4, uses as much of the curbs as he's allowed. Then just wanders over the curbing again. It's quite a risk to wander that far, but no risk, no reward and all that. 5, 6, 7, down to 8. Very easy to get unsettled through that section and just completely throw away either your race or your qualifying lap. Down to the non-existent 9. I say non-existent. If you get that wrong, you're off into the dust. Very literally, it's a very dusty place here in Bahrain. Strangely enough. Now through 10 and then screaming on down to 11 as we have a new pole time of a 37.3 on the board by Jarno Opmeer, last week's race winner. Very nicely done in the Renault. Sweep through 11, 12, 13, up to 14 for the Toro Rosso. Doesn't quite kiss the apex of 14, but nothing too bad. And then all the way. Oh my goodness, we've got both Sultans coming out on the softs. Oh my goodness. I wonder why that's their name. That's why their names begin with S. They're representing their namesake. Through the final turn then for Biancalila. What can he put on the board? And he does a 1:27.886. That is not bad at all. And that puts 1.3 seconds between Jarno Opmeer and Collis. But keep an eye for the Sultans. They mean business.
Indeed they do. Just while that lap was being commentated by Kodiak, Veloce Formula Danny has come in with a top time there on the hard tyres. Oh, and that is I think that was Formula Danny on the curb there. I think we were reacting to two different things. We lost one of the Sultuks there. Hopefully they will be able to come back fairly quickly. But as I say, it's so close between the top drivers at the moment and between the entire field.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the same. Is it the same Sultan that had the problem last week? And doesn't set the lap. So, interesting. You're leaving it a bit late. Yeah, it's the same Sultan, unfortunately, that had the problem last week. It was Sonich in the Racing Point that's seemingly had trouble tonight. Danny is out there on the hard tyres, 27.397. So barely half a tenth between. Oh, that's a big lock up there for Danny. He's trying to do the whole drifting thing again. There's no water out there. So yeah, 55,000 separates Jarno and Danny at the moment. Danny coming in, has got time to come in and do something about it. Now we're starting to see everybody jump over to the mediums. James has come out in the house. As Flying Finn as well.
McLaren currently on flying laps. Lassie just coming towards the end of Sect 2. His teammate not too far behind. So interesting to see what kind of times these two McLarens can do. Currently Lassie in 16th place, Collis in 20th. Lassie currently coming in half a second quicker than his previous time. That would put him up towards the top 5. Let's see if he can continue that kind of pace as he comes towards the final corner, holding it in 7th gear. Coming down to 3rd and now getting on the power as quickly as possible, using hot lap mode, switching to overtake for the most straight line speed. Across the line he comes into 3rd place, and now where will Collis come? Just behind him goes in 3rd. So very good driving from the two McLarens.
Row 2 belongs to the Papaya Orange. Very nice. So VSR being well represented by Collis and Lassie once again. 27.5 for those two. James has come out, as we know. Photon's come out. Mateus, Flying Finn, Corny, Steve's, the Toro Rosas at the back. The Red Bulls at the back of the pack of Sam LeBear and Garrix. Now, Sonich has rejoined the session, but not come out of the garage. Yeah, apologies for the cough. I have not been well all week, but I will endeavour to muscle through it and not bark down the microphone for the rest of the broadcast. Everyone's coming out again for their Banzai laps. Collins and Lassie may not have timed that brilliantly well, as you know, we all know this process by now. Oh, that's another one. Daniel Shields. And that was nearly the Williams.
Veloce James appears to be on a flyer at the moment. He's just about to come towards the final corner right now. 7 tenths up on his previous time. This would smash pole if he hasn't invalidated it anywhere. We could be approaching a anticlimax situation, but he's going for the line. Veloce James, 26-7, smashing pole out of the water. Unbelievable, Jeffrey.
Line up and strike! My goodness, 26-7. Absolutely destroyed by Mr. Baldwin. Very nice. And I'm happy to say Sonich is back out on track, although he's having an argument with Fabrizio Donoso over who has right of way over that particular bit of track. Every single car is out there. What a what a yardstick from Mr. Baldwin. Very nicely done.
So much that it's made your cough even worse. Unbelievable. We've got a Haas off the track. I think he's probably just getting out of the way as far as possible. But it is in fact Veloce James. I think he's probably just going to go back to the garage. But as we can just see right now, it's at a slight little lull period at the moment as the cars are all on their outlap. They've not got too long to go, about just under a minute's time. And they're all lining up and let them go on these final laps. They're all starting now. They are their laps to try and go for that pole time of 26.7. They're all going to be flying towards the end of this qualifying session, and I'm sure we'll have lots and lots of laps to commentate on in a few seconds' time.
No doubt, yes, apologies for the inherent coughing, but I will do my best to manage it. But we all know how much hype and adrenaline these guys tend to generate. I think Mateus has split the McLarens. He's jumped up to 7th. Steve up to 2nd. In the Racing Point, 27-2, but he's still some time off the lead of 4 tenths. My goodness, James Baldwin is absolutely unreal. The checker flag is out. Lassie can do no more with his time. Lemsip, someone says in chat, that's for sore throats, but I appreciate the thought nonetheless. Wow, what a great effort there from Steve, but James, that lap time is proving rather spectacular at the moment. Let's see who else is. Oh, Jan Fehler at 27.2 himself. 9 thousandths of a second quicker than Steve. Great effort in the second Renault for Jan Fehler. And there's another second place, another 26 on the board. Manuel Biancalila has jumped up to second. There's Flying Finn in third. Hyper's 4. My God, look how many 27-2s there are. Collis has retired from the session. Daniel Shields 5th with another 27-2. Oh my goodness me, Jarno Opmeer has only gone and demoted the mighty Baldwin. And actually Donoso in the other Haas has also just beaten James with a 26.
Close. Formula Danny is currently 7/10 up on his quickest time, which is 7/10 off the current pole time. This could be very close. Coming out of the final corner, putting it onto overtake mode across the line.
Oh, he's good.
26.5 for pole position.
Wow.
Formula Danny. But we need to keep our eye on Steve as well. Unfortunately, he was on a flyer actually, but he's just unfortunately had to come back into the pits.
Wow.
What a session that was.
What a way for that to end. My word. And only three drivers outside of a second from the top. Unfortunately, Sonich was not able to recover from that kind of disconnection. He has rejoined the session, but didn't improve on his time.
Just 1/100th of a second between 11th and 14th.
Wow. Goodness me. This it's going to be interesting, I think.
Indeed. So just waiting for the drivers to come back to the pit lane. There we go. It should now be the end of the qualifying session, and we have one hell of a race to look forward to here under the floodlights of the Bahrain International Circuit.
And I have experience. Thank you, game.
Excellent. So do I.
Right, to save my voice, please, Mr. Nick, if you would kindly run through the grid.
So, Formula Danny on pole, Jarno Opmeer in second, Donoso third, James fourth, Stalia Saltuk in fifth in the Alfa Romeo, Biancalila sixth, Presnader seventh, Flying Finn eighth, Corny ninth, Daniel Shields rounds out your top 10 in the Mercedes, Hypers 11th, Vela 12th, Photon 13th, Steve 14th, Samuel Bear 15th, Collis 16th, Matthias 17th, DSR Lassie in 18th, Garrix 19th, and Sonic Saltuk in 20th position. Of course, the top 10 will be starting on those medium tyres. 11th to 20th will have the choice of whether to start on the mediums, the softs, or the hards. We may see quite a few drivers going on the hards for the sake of running a long first stint, but we will have to see what the drivers choose, as they are having that option now, as they're just getting in the garage, getting prepared for the upcoming formation lap, and then I believe a long amount of laps. I think it's 29 round here. Do correct me if I'm wrong, around this Bahrain circuit.
We will see shortly when we've gone through this. Any changes they're allowed to make? Don't think there are any, or the very, very few, if any at all, they're allowed to make in this particular point. Having a look to see what they're allowed to do and weighing up their options and strategies and what have you.
So the only thing they are allowed to do is that they can change the front wing angle at this point, but everything else is set under parc fermé conditions. So the grid has loaded up on my screen. Let's see what tyres people have gone for. And interesting, 11th down to 19th, all on the hards. Sonic Saltuk has gone for the mediums, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe he will start cutting his way through the field at the start. We'll have to see how that goes. Well, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yes, I mean, he's definitely with us this time. Sadly, he'd had a disconnection problem before this point last week, so we lost the racing point before we could see what he was truly capable of. And like I say, he was on an absolute cracker of a qualifying lap, and sadly found someone, I cannot remember who it was, he found on the... I want to say it was Presnader, but I don't know if that's entirely right. I wholeheartedly apologise if that is wrong. Presnader qualifying is 7th, so apologies to you, Philip, if that is incorrect. But Danny leading the way. Wow, Danny's getting on with it.
So he's getting out of DRS range on the formation lap with early tactics being played. No, really looking for, as I say, this is probably one of the strongest fields that I have seen in PC racing for quite some time. I'm disappointed to miss out last weekend, but oh boy, we should be in for an absolute cracker. It's not just a fast field, it's a fast and close field as well. So we should be in for some very exciting racing. I think it was 1.3 seconds separated the entire field in the qualification, and that of course includes Sonic, who set his lap time on the hards and had disconnection problems, so it is a very close field indeed.
Yeah, but as Allflattious has pointed out, Sonic has gone for the medium tires. He's gone for the softer rubber, the only one outside of the top 10 to do so. He's quite a long way back from the field, strangely. So he's really warming his brakes, taking his time to do what he needs to do to give himself the best chance of the best start. Here we come then, the AI starting to take over and get everybody back into their grid slots. There we go, you can see the ghosting happening as the AI then parks everybody on their positions. And again, to save my save my ailing voice, Monsieur Allflattious, take it away!
Here we go then, we have the 5 red lights will be coming on your screen any moment now. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are away with the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. It looks like a good start from the front two. Veloce Formula Danny leading the way as we go into turn 1. Jan having a look, Veloce James having a look down the inside as well as we go through turn 1. A battle for second place between Fabrizio and Jarno Ottmaier. It's actually Fabrizio getting ahead of its teammate at the first corner there. So we have Danny 1, Ottmaier 2, Donoso 3, but here goes Veloce James at the inside of his teammate. And he looks to make that work, but he hasn't quite been able to do so. Biancalila getting up into 5th place ahead of Sally Seltuk. And you can see Sonic Seltuk, we said watch for him at the start of the Grand Prix. He's already up to 14th place. So gaining 6 positions off the start. He's had a fantastic start in the Racing Point. We have multiple yellow flags. Not quite sure what is going on further down the field. Samuel Lieber and VSR Collis going side by side for position 15th, but it has been a fantastic start. Looks like Garrix was caught up in some sort of incident, as he is unfortunately far down the field. Collis and Lieber still going side by side, but it looks like that has settled itself at the moment, with Collis taking the lead. A pretty hectic start on lap 1, but appears to have settled down for the time being, with Veloce Formula Danny leading the way.
Indeed, indeed. Looks like Garrett's had a bit of a spin. We'll see if he has to come in to replace any broken parts. Everybody between 3 and 5 seconds, my God, nowhere near it. 3 and 5 tenths apart, pretty much throughout the entire field, with the exception of Stephen Garrix towards the tail. But what a cracking start from the second Racing Point of Sonic. Well, no, beg your pardon, he's the lead Racing Point. And Formula Danny already feeling the need to go to far over to the right-hand side. I can't see Jan, who was going to make a move from that far back, but Donoso looks like he was thinking about it coming into turn 2, but did not commit to the move. Get very, very close, but no cigar for him. And Sonos has nailed another one. That's Photon for 13th position. He's got hold of. I'm sure into that turn 1, as mentioned. That's yep, it was indeed. There he is. A little bit of a gap to close down to Jan Failure, but then it's pretty much the entirety of the field from there right up to the top. He is. Now, once the table turns, he is around about 4 seconds off the lead now. That's all, considering that where he started from. That's pretty damn impressive for Sonic. But Formula Danny doing Formula Danny things up front. He's got about 4 tenths of a second between himself and Jarno. Which everybody seems to be kind of settling into a rhythm up front. I'm not surprised, starting on the medium tyres, the softer rubber. Still kind of boggles the mind that medium means yellow, but there we go. We'll wrap my head around that eventually. For us old timers, everyone that's starting on the softer rubber will be biding their time, except for Sonic, of course. That's pretty much got his right foot nailed to the floor, and using that brilliantly well. So already the drivers looking to manage their tyres. We'll see how. We've seen though that some brilliant strategies be played as time goes on. As Formula Danny gets a first representative time with a heavy car, 130.5 on the board. Sonic may kind of back it up. I just realised I haven't got the telemetry turned on. I was going to say he might kind of back it up a little bit. No chance. ERS turn right the way up before having to turn it down to get into the braking zone. We will see what the Saltup brother can do.
Indeed so. So just having a look at Fabrizio Donoso was very close to the back of Jarno Ottmaier on the previous lap, but they all seem to have settled down the gaps at the moment. Preshnader right on the back of Sally Seltuk at the moment as they go through the winding, intricate middle sector, but there's no real way to overtake. But I mean, I say that, I'm sure one of these drivers is brave enough to have a go. We're about to, of course, DRS activated for the first time on this lap, and a lot of drivers are within 1 second of the other, so we should be seeing a few possible attempts at overtakes. Biancalila possibly getting turn 10 a little bit wrong there, and that opens them up to attack from Sally Seltuk, because he doesn't have DRS, incidentally, on the car in front. but the straight just not long enough for Sakhir to get anywhere near an overtaking opportunity, unfortunately for him.
No, indeed. I think he made a mistake or some such on the last lap, because he was 1.3 seconds behind James last time around, or the beginning of lap 3. So, is that Preissnader making a move already, or is he just trying to break the toe? But suddenly saw the Mercedes shoot out from that line. Didn't quite see what he was doing, unless he's defending from the Williams behind.
I think he is defending. I think he's in the clutches of Flying Finn here. As let's have a look, but they both have DRS, so it may be a case of one DRS cancels out the other. Flying Finn very close, approaching 210 miles an hour. Oh, actually makes contact with Preissnader and sends him backwards. Will send him flying into the corner. That may well be one for the stewards later on, but for the time being, that has promoted Flying Finn up to 7th place. Preissnader down now behind his teammate and fending off. Corny behind him, the Ferrari trying to make his way around the outside.
Oh, wow.
And he does make the move. Whether it was on the track or not is up for debate, but he moves the grade around the outside. And the third VSR, currently the lead VSR driver in 9th place, is VSR Corny.
He is indeed. Yep, those elbows got very wide very quickly. Sam LeBear and Collis have been swapping positions for several corners now. The Red Bull and McLaren having a hell of a scrap coming into turn 10. It looks like Collis has won out on that one. No, Sam LeBear's not letting go of that one. Yep, he's having to slot behind McLaren. Now, Sully's got a bit of a problem. If he's burnt the best out of those tyres, he's got no one to get DRS off of. He's 2.2 behind Jan Fehler. And, there's nothing to say that he's having trouble, but he may have to back off a little bit. He's got a little bit too much heat in those tyres. Oh, and there he goes. He's one little bit too wide. Those medium tyres are not going to last a great amount of time, and plus, he's got Photon right at his tail, so we may not necessarily see a great deal.
James in the pit.
That's early.
That is indeed, and we have Samuel Libert's got a 5-second time penalty there for track limits. That's very disappointing early on. I'm sure he'll have to drive even faster to make that time up. And now we have Daniel Shields, I think, has just made a move on Flying Finn into turn 1 as he goes up into position 6 in the Mercedes. Flying Finn.
Corny's had trouble. He's fallen right the way down to 13. Sorry to cut you off there, Allflattious. But he's had trouble somewhere in the Ferrari down there at turn 1. I think he's been kicked off the road as well by someone. We didn't see who. But he's just fallen a long way down the field. Again, he's one of the medium starters. Now, this could explain why Sonic is struggling at this stage. If those mediums really only have, with a heavy car, 4 to 6 decent laps in them, now the hard tyres are going to start to come good. Sonic is he really needs to get shot of them. His progress has completely halted. The hard tyre starters at least are now going to start to come into their own. So Hyper's in a really good position on the back of Preissnader as well. Of course, Preissnader recovering from that incident he's already been involved with. Bianchi Leader is also going to struggle a little bit. He's 3 seconds behind Donoso. We'll see what the rest of the medium tyres do, but we will see. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them come in now.
Indeed. Well, the top 3 certainly aren't pitting. Donoso was on the back of Jarno Ottmeyer, but he had a poor final corner, so he's now not going to be able to make a move there. But someone who may be making a move is Sally Saltuk down the pit straight. That's going to be a quite simple DRS move up the inside of Manuel Biancalida for 4th place in the Grand Prix. So the Alfa Romeo making moves early on, and that is Hypers getting ahead of Preissnader as well. They're actually going side by side through turn 3. Very nice driving. Preissnader right in the slipstream, but Hypers does have the DRS, so Hypers will maintain 8th position. As you say, the hard starters starting to come into their own now as the medium tyres are starting to fade away in terms of their grip.
I think so, and Sonic has fallen behind Photon now. Obviously, with a few people pitting, that's actually given he's up a position because we've seen people pitting, but I think he's really going to struggle. Photon could sort of really sprint away from the racing point now, but we will see how that turns out. Yep, I made the prediction of I wouldn't be surprised if everybody pits, and no one does. So once again, getting that call completely wrong.
Well, thinking about it, the medium tyres must have 10 laps at least, because otherwise that renders the soft tyre useless. If the mediums have only got 4 or 5.
Well, yeah, from fresh, yes, so, but these have all been qualified on. Remember, with the exception of Sonic.
True, but normally you can do a 1-stop here if I'm wrong, mediums to hards, and that means they must sort of go 10-11. So, I mean, I'll see what all the other drivers do. Donoso is right on the back of Jarno Ottmeyer, who's actually just become an AI, unfortunately, so that makes the move a lot easier for Fabrizio Donoso up the inside into turn 1. That's very disappointing.
I did wonder what happened to Jarno there, because Fabrizio, I wonder either he'd come off the track and recovered, or just Fabrizio left him for dead. Well, that has rather explained what's happened. Sonic and Corny now having a fight. They're both medium starters, so the Racing Point fending off the Ferrari. That is for 12th. There goes Corny, and Collis, I think, are also involved in that particular battle. As this scrap for that particular piece of track continues. Matthias and Lasse further behind them. They are hard starters. Still scrapping over that. That is Sam Bear. You can see at the bottom of the shot. So yeah, what a shame for Jarno. He had such a great race last week, and unfortunately a technical problem seems to have robbed him of being able to repeat it. That'll please Sonny, because he's going to pick up a bit of. He should pick up the DRS off of that, as it's still a running car. In theory,
I think he's actually going to overtake before the DRS line. Actually, at this point, because he's actually just made the overtake now. It might be Biancalila that profits. We'll have to see how that goes as Sally Salter goes past the stricken AI Renault of Jarno Ottmeyer, but it's going to leave Biancalila possibly in a good position, as he has certainly got DRS off the Renault, whether Sally Salter does not have DRS, but he is far enough ahead, so it's not really an issue for him anymore. Freshneder did get back ahead of Hypers that last lap, and it looks like they are too far away to actually make any moves this time, but we may see Hypers make a dive into turn 1. No, we don't. He's just going to sit there and possibly have a go on the second DRS zone. It just depends how his exit is of turns 2 and 3. DRS wide open on that Williams car, but not quite close enough to Freshneder, so we sit back and ready ourselves for round 9, but it is Corny and Sonic Saltic are going side by side into that same corner. The Racing Point taking the outside line, trying to fend off the Ferrari. They're still going side by side, but the Ferrari has to back out of it. Getting 2 cars through there is going to be very tricky indeed, and so Sonic up to P12 now. Remember, starting all the way back from last place, and the Ferrari getting nice and close now. We might actually see them have another go as we approach the second DRS zone. Off the lap, Sonic Saltic has gone wide. Actually made contact with Collis there. Sonic has a very easy corner to lock up in and go wide. And that's exactly what Sonic has done, and that's now possibly leaves him to threaten from the Red Bull of Samuel Liebert. They're now going side by side as we come now, and the Ferrari's going to get involved as well of Matthias. Sonic Saltuk, he went through the field very quickly. He's now dropping back through it indeed. Started the lap in P12, now back down in P15.
Oh, trying to get the view from Lasse there, but Matthias is having his own fight with the McLaren. Yeah, I'm assuming that Sonic has just burned the best out of those tyres, as Lasse's gone a little bit too deep. He's under pressure from Steve in the second Racing Point. None of the other medium runners in yet, so I would think that your prediction of around about 10 laps on the mediums is probably proving quite correct, as Lasse is... Steve having a look on the inside of the McLaren, as well as Sam having a crack at Sonic. Neither of those moves coming about. Oh, the McLaren again having a look.
Finn does make a move. So sorry for coming across there. Flying Finn does make a move on Daniel Shields for 5th place. That is a move that has gone successfully. Photon getting past the AI of Jarno Ottmeyer. I was almost getting excited of an overtake there, but it is an AI car that we need to be aware of course. If you're just joining us, Jarno Ottmeyer has unfortunately had a disconnection from the lobby, so his car is currently running not under his own steam. But as we are approaching this near towards the start of lap 10, Veloce Formula leading from Fabrizio Donoso by 1.5 seconds, then 3 seconds further back to Sally Saltic. Biancalila a further half second behind, and Flying Finn 2 seconds behind them. So around about 10 seconds or so is separating the top 5 at the moment.
I can only assume that James had some damage then, but he didn't have his front wing change when he came in, so that's a very odd decision from James there. So we will see if that pays off for him. That's a long way to go on one set of hard tyres.
I mean, the only other thing I could be thinking of is that the top 3 were all running quite close to the top 4, were all running quite close together. So he may have gone for sort of the undercut of Dreams, maybe, and he's now trying to use the clear air to try and get a run on the top 3, but he's had 4 laps on those hard tyres now. So it is one hell of an undercut if that's what he's trying to go for.
And Corny gets on the penalty board with a 3-second track extension on that. So that could hurt. He sits in 11th at the moment. We'll see how that transpires for him. And Stephen Mateus having a fight there for 16th as well. Big load.
Jarno's just popped in the chat there. Unfortunately, his game has full-on crashed.
Oh, no.
That explains why he's currently running as an AI car. That's very disappointing for Jarno. That's probably ending up being terminal now as he's dropping back through the field, unfortunately for him. That's a great shame as he was running so well and, of course, did so well in the previous race as well. So that is very disappointing to see from the Renault's driver there.
Indeed, and keeping an eye, trying to keep an eye on lots of gaps throughout the field as I invariably do. That's looking back at Sonich from Samba Bear. That is for 13th position. Right ahead of them is Collis and Corny fighting for 11th. So Sonich hanging on in there, but grip looks like it's a premium. And Donoso is in from 2nd position. So that is right on, as well as Ben Kalila. And there we go, and Praisnader. Now the flood of pit stops happen. Bang on, exactly when Allflattious called. Oh, wow, someone getting every inch of slipstream there off the back of the Ferrari. It's also come in. And Sonich. Goodness me, that's close from Sam LeBear. Well, it looks close from that perspective. It might be absolutely fine from theirs, but it looked very close when you're watching on the T-cam. So, few people then.
Going side by side again now, up into 4 is the Red Bull having the inside line. Is he going to be able to make it work? Indeed he has done on those hard tyres. Sonic's mediums are certainly coming towards the end of their life now, even though they weren't qualified on, admittedly, but they are going to be coming towards the end of their life nonetheless. You may be able to stretch it to lap 12, 13, but they are coming towards the end of their life at the moment. So bear in mind, Veloce Hyper's currently the fastest of the hard tyre runners. He's probably going to be able to take them to about lap 18, 19, and then take the mediums, or maybe less than that, maybe sort of 16, 17, and then take the mediums around about 11 or 12 laps to the end of the Grand Prix. It's interesting to see how the hard tyre runners get on, but Veloce Formula Danny is coming towards the end of this lap now, and he's probably going to dive into the pits, I would imagine. No, he continues along for another lap on those medium tyres. Of course, he hasn't had to do much battling at the moment, so those tyres may actually be fairly well kept together. But his teammate Sally Saltuk and Flying Finn and Daniel Shields all come into the pits, and Daniel Shields could not get that car stopped in time.
And then he slams into the back of the Williams there. As out he goes on a fresh set of boots, and Danny choosing to continue, but he will not be able to last too much longer. Sonich is in. And ironically, Jarno asking for an invite from me. I certainly couldn't do it last season. The spectator could not invite people to the session. I'm not sure if you could have a look, Nick. I don't know if that particular element has changed.
Try and have a go at it.
I'm pretty sure it's not possible to send out invites mid-race. I've seen drivers do it to drivers, but not... I've seen drivers do it to spectators, but not spectators do it to anybody else. That is ironically the one combination that Jarno needs is the one I can't do. So I'm not ignoring you, Jarno. I'm just pretty sure I can't do what you've asked. I would love to have you back in the race. Don't get me wrong.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can either.
No. Didn't think it was possible, as Photon right on the back of Jan Fehler. That is now for 3rd position. The Renault under a lot of pressure from the Toro Rosso as they sweep through turn 13 and 14. Jan doing what he can to keep the Toro Rosso behind him. Surely Danny is going to be coming in this time. Yes, he does. So he and the ghosted Jarno is the last ones to get rid of their starting
Danny
medium tyres.
From the lead.
Indeed. As Hypers is now going to take over the lead for the Williams. That's a sentence that warms the heart, isn't it? Williams in the lead. I mean no mockery, but as a long-time Formula 1 fan, it's
going to be quite close between Danny and Fabrizio Donoso. It's here, Danny coming out alongside Fabrizio Donoso. They're both going into turn 1 with the Ferrari ahead of Fabrizio as well. They're going side by side, very close. 23 seconds is about how long it takes to make a pit stop, as that was the gap previously. And Fabrizio Donoso just ahead of Veloce Formula Danny. So that is 4, effectively the net lead of this Grand Prix. Fabrizio Donoso for the time being leads by about 0.3 of a second from Veloce Formula Danny. So if you want to know how long it takes to make a pit stop, it's about 23.5 seconds.
That was close. Oh dear, Sonic is getting a few penalties on the board.
Sorry, Fabrizio Donoso going out the inside of Matthias as well, making a sort of switch back there and now going around the outside just before the tricky braking zone of 10. And that's Sonic retiring from the session. Unfortunately, it wasn't having the best afternoon for him. Unfortunately, that is the end of his afternoon. Sector 3 yellow flag, that's probably the retirement. Veloce Formula Danny getting past Matthias as well. So the top two starting to make big moves through the field.
Indeed, yeah. Sonic brought his car into the pits and has retired it, which is a great shame. But Donoso and Danny now trying to carve their way through those that have started on the hard tyres, which is not going to be an easy feat by any stretch, but they of course got the tyre life to be able to do it. We will see what they are capable of. Hypers leads Photon by 3.1 seconds, and then just under a second between Photon and Jan. 4 seconds back to Collis, 1 back to Sam LeBear. That was Lasse and Steve swapping around. The McLaren trying to do an outside manoeuvre on 1, inside for 2. Can't hold it. Nicely defended from the racing point. But that's going to put Donoso straight on his case. There we go. DRS open for everybody except the McLaren, interestingly. I think he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, was Lasse, perhaps. Or he's had a DRS failure. But he's got a good view of this battle right ahead of him. Oh, James has got his name on the penalty board. That's not going to help him. He's up to 12th, though, with his interesting contra strategy. But there's a lovely pack here. 6th to 9th. Steve, Donoso, Lasse and Danny.
Indeed. So just having a look then to see if there are any other major battles forming on track. I think you're in the main one at the moment. Veloce Formula Danny right on the back of Lasse. And Donoso right on the back of Steve as well. That DRS straight is just not quite long enough for someone to make a move, but it can set them up really nicely for the start-finish straight. It looks like Donoso is in a fantastic place at the moment to get a move done on Steve down that back straight. And Veloce Formula Danny, he's not hanging around. He's going to get the move done before the start-finish straight on Lasse there. I think Lasse may have opened the door possibly to him there, but let's have a look then at Fabrizio Donoso, who's right on the back of the racing point of TRG Steve. Veloce Formula Danny isn't too far behind as well. Steve feints to possibly go into the pit lane there, but Donoso stays right behind him. Looks, oh my word, Steve moving to the right-hand side just at the last minute, but still Donoso trying to go around the outside for turn 1 and getting a lovely view of this on board Veloce Formula Danny. Donoso getting around the outside of turn 2, up the hill towards turn 3, and the move is done, but now Veloce Formula Danny's going to have a look as well, getting all of the ERS that he can. Very late braking from the Hungarian, and it's up the inside. 7th place for Veloce Formula Danny. Fantastic driving. Steve just not able to stay with him with those 12 lap older hard tyres.
Brilliantly done. Formula Danny matching every move that Donoso put out there. He did not want to be stuck behind Steve or Lasse any longer than he needed to. There was actually a bump that we heard on board with Formula Danny as him and I think it was Lasse came together. Were coming through turn 14 or turns 13 to 14 when that pass happened. He needed desperately to hang on to the back of the Haas. This is the effective race lead as everyone ahead of them has to pit, and there's not enough gap between them and these two to prevent the Haas and the Sauber taking over, the Alfa Romeo rather, as show my age, taking over the race lead. There is, interesting, James is not too far off the back. I cannot imagine he can't pit again. I cannot see how he's going to make those tyres last unless he does some very serious coasting. There you go, 15 laps is what Failer and Collis managed. There's Steve as well. I can't see that James are going to be able to do an additional, 13, 14 laps on these tyres that have done 11 already. He's diving on the inside of Lasse. Nicely done. Medium tyres going on to those that have come into the pit, as you would expect. So decent move from James, unless he's going to string it out and go onto softs at the end. I can't imagine them lasting too long. But we will see.
I mean, that would be the sensible strategy. You could possibly take the hards to about lap 21, lap 22, and you can possibly stretch 6 or 7 laps out of the softs. I mean, that's probably what he's going to do, I would imagine at this point. But again, I can't see it working out for him because the amount is obviously 23 or so seconds, as we've worked out. That's a long time to try and gain back with only 7 laps, albeit on a faster tyre.
Oops, I'm taking a screenshot there. Wrong key. Apologies. I always worry when everything just freezes for a second. Like, oh, no, please, no. And then, doink, there's that little noise that Steam gives you. Right, back onto the action. Let's have a look through the field as Danny and Fabrizio continue their fight, picking up from where they left off last season, essentially. All we need is Tino now Carradine to join us, our last season's champion, to add his magic to the mixture, and that would be a real recreation of last season. Hypers and Photon.
Yeah, top three all going in the pits there, so this now leaves Donoso and Formula Danny to battle for the lead, and it could well be a battle as here comes Danny right in the slipstream of Donoso as they pull out. Donoso holding the inside line for turn one. What is Danny going to be able to do? Try and hold it round the outside, but he'll have the inside for turn two.
Oh.
Goes up the hill, textbook driving there. But Donoso has the DRS now, back up the hill. Oh my word, they are so close, they basically touched. Around the outside for turn three. Who's going to hold it? Who's going to be the last of the Braven there? And it's still side by side now. Go towards the intricate section. You can't have two cars through there. And it turns out you can't, as Donoso just holds back for the time being. And Danny beautifully holding the car on the apex there, preventing Donoso from doing that switchback. But lo and behold, we're about to enter another DRS zone, and they are incredibly close. But Danny gets a fantastic drive off that corner. And it just means that Donoso's not quite close enough at this point. But again, he's just going to set himself up for the start-finish straight. Now, James is less than half a second behind this battle. Some interesting stuff indeed. Could we have a three-way battle down the start-finish straight? We could. All remains to be seen. Hypers and Photon have come out just at the edge of the top 10. So watch out for those guys, as they're not too far behind the likes of Daniel Shields and Presnader, and are on much fresher rubber. So they could be ones to watch later on in the Grand Prix. But it's time to have a look and see what Fabrizio Donoso can do on Veloce Formula Danny as we go down the start-finish straight to start lap 18 of the Grand Prix. 11 to go as we get to the line in the slipstream using the DRS up towards 210 miles an hour. It's actually touching there. Rear and front tyres touch. Switch back possibly from Donoso here, but he doesn't quite get it done. But he still has the chance on the run up towards turn 4. Collis setting the fastest lap on those medium tyres. Looks like Donoso didn't open the DRS there, interestingly. So maybe he's got a DRS problem, or he just chose not to, as he's so focused on battling with Danny as they are so close going through this middle section.
Indeed, anything is possible. James acting as a great camera car for that entire sequence. His tyres probably not really going to give him enough to join in with that particular fight. And right behind them, we saw Sully actually get the fastest lap briefly before he was taken over by the medium shod cars. So there is Sully Zoltan with Manuel Biancalila and so both Flying Fins actually in that battle.
Sorry to interrupt there. Daniel Shields drifting his way through turn 10, and Hypers is now right on the back of those two Mercedes. There may well be a move on the start-finish straight, but it's back to the top of the field. Donoso, Danny and James. It'll be interesting to see whether this battle is actually holding up James or not. Because of course, if he's going to do a two-stop, he doesn't want to be held up by two battling cars in front of him, as he needs to try and create as much of a gap as possible to the likes of Hypers and Photon to try and make some kind of strategy like this work. But I don't think it's going to work out for him, but we'll have to see. Donoso getting closer to Formula Danny, but not quite. Oh, maybe. No! Not quite close enough. He did have a look, but he wasn't quite close enough on that occasion. Running up the hill, I don't think he is close enough, actually, running up the hill.
Side by side, Biancalila and Flying Finn, they're bouncing off one another, coming through 2 and 3, as well as Hypers has demoted Daniel Shields. He's on the mediums as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of fighting going on. We got three packs of 3 going on at the moment. The top 3, the next 3, and the next 3, all in brilliant battles. I can't look at all 9 cars at the same time, I wish, but they are involved in some brilliant scrapping at the moment.
Ooh, big lock-up from Freshnader there, as Hypers already has got himself past one of the Mercedes down the start-finish straight. He'll be having a look at the other one fairly shortly, I would imagine. But there, those top 3 still going on. Donoso just 3.5 tenths off the back of Formula Danny. Sally Celtic's actually gained a little bit. He's now got 1.3 seconds between himself and Finn, as Hypers already has made the move on Freshnader down the shorter DRS straight, where I was saying all evening. there hasn't been an opportunity for an overtake, but Hypers has completely proven me wrong.
I'm pretty sure it looked like Praise nearly just let him go there. He jumped over to the right-hand side. You wouldn't normally dive on that particular line unless he felt that Hypers was going to make the dive. Here comes Denoso again on Danny. Danny drifting over to the right-hand side. I don't think he's going to be able to hold the house back this time as Denoso flies alongside. Danny doing what he can to defend, but I think Denoso's going to have the inside line for 2, and that is a job done. But now, of course, here's the return manoeuvre. Denoso going all the way over to the right-hand side, but Danny's got next to no ERS energy left, and he still gets the move done. Here comes Denoso. I think we've seen 2 cars battling like this once or twice before along this particular part of Bahrain. James is just along for the ride. He's got a great view of the fight ahead of him, but how much ERS is... See, Denoso's got a good half battery available to deploy, whereas Danny has charged that back up to 20%, but he's really kind of... I think he's struggling a bit with the ERS management, certainly in this top 3.
Indeed so. Of course, one of the main things I personally have noticed between this year's game and last year's is that the ERS management is a lot more difficult and a lot more important. I don't know whether drivers may or may not agree with me on that, but I have found that you do need to do a lot more work with the ERS management if you want to get as quick as possible. You notice on board with Denoso there through the corners, he's dropping it down to 0. He's on 0 now as he's using the slipstream as he goes through the corner again to try and make the most energy regenerated under braking. But he's now going to plop it into 3 or 4 to now get the fastest straight line speed possible with the use of DRS as we go on lap 21. It's probably going to be a repeat of lap 20. Danny moving to the left-hand side, actually contact between the 2 of them. I've just noticed, I think they're actually having the same number. It looks like they're both having number 12, but that's beside the point. As we come back up the hill now, Danny is probably going to go all the way over to the right-hand side, and he does so. But here comes Denoso, going to have to go round the outside, and it looks like he's a little bit closer this time. No, again, Danny defending perfectly, holding the inside line, and just not enough space on track for Denoso to successfully make a move there.
Danny and Denoso have crossed swords on the same bit of track many times over, so this is not a new fight by any stretch, but Denoso is really piling the pressure on at the moment. But right behind them, Sully Soltug, the second Alpha, could really get involved. He's under 2 seconds behind them now. He stands to really get involved in the fight for the podium battle, so that'll be absolutely fantastic if he can get involved in that as well.
Indeed so, as I say, if they're going to constantly battle each lap, it'll bring other cars into the mix. We already have James sitting on the back of this field, but we expect him to pit sort of at any moment now, really. End of this lap, I imagine he'll go into Denoso, having a little look up the inside, feinting to the inside of the final corner for Veloce Formula Danny. Let's look as they go down the start to finish straight. James carrying on, maybe he's going to try and go to the end of the Grand Prix. We'll have to see, but Denoso in the slipstream again, DRS again. Moving to the outside of turn 1. Let's have a look. Is it going to be a repeat of the previous lap? It pretty much is. Danny placing the car well. But now Denoso's going to have the chance on the run up the hill towards turn 4. Let's have a look. I think he's slightly further back than he has been previously. And he's not quite close enough to make a move on this occasion. Big lock-up from Denoso as well as they go into 4.
Yeah, I think Denoso had a pretty scruffy exit from 2 and 3 there because he suddenly jinked over to the right. I think he may well have just essentially aborted that attack on Danny, but the more they do that, there's the other Alpha. So it's Alpha, Haas, Alpha at the moment. I'm sure the real-life teams would love that particular opportunity. But this is what we've got in its virtual form. Not actually that far back from that is Bianca Leader and Flying Finn. The Toro Rosso and Williams, the second Williams of Hypers, is not far behind them. I believe he still has the fastest lap of the race.
Does indeed. I've just been watching that battle. Bianca Leader made a small mistake going into turn 7, and that got Flying Finn right on his back. And of course, Flying Finn's teammate Hypers there behind them on those medium tyres, of course. So he will be flying, and Veloce Formula Danny. Denoso goes up the inside of the final corner, making a move on Formula Danny. But now Danny's going to have the DRS, so maybe that wasn't the most sensiblest of move from Denoso, as here comes Danny, and he's got a little bit more of a better run than he would normally have down that start-finish straight. Denoso possibly getting frustrated being stuck behind Formula Danny there, and went for the not so tactically able move on the inside of the final corner. And now it's back to square one again, as Donoso has the DRS. He's close, but I don't think he's close enough up the hill. No, he's not, as they go into turn 4.
No, but... yeah.
Celtic now less than a second off the back of Veloce James.
Yeah, he'll be in DRS range next lap around. He's, of course, been capitalising on the fact that that top pack has been fighting that hard. James got out of the way of that when I didn't see him lock up, so either he kind of saw Sully coming and went, I'm not going to be... What?
James, judging by... I was just on board, it looked like a pedal issue.
Oh, no!
He was pushing the pedals and nothing really happened.
But the lead dropped again. Donoso is just... Oh, no, we've lost Danny!
What on earth is going on?
No, we've lost... Oh, no, please don't...
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God. Well, he just disconnected. I was on board with Danny at the time that Donoso appeared to make an outside move. On the Alpha, here comes Sally. Comes through into second.
Excuse you, indeed so. So
Yeah.
Well, Sally's still behind. In front of me, but he's just going to make the move now. Bianca Lila and Flying Finn are very close to each other as well, and Hypers is still less than a second behind this battle as well. It's been absolutely... I think, I don't know if Danny's game has crashed it, possibly it's happened there. Of course, because Danny will be streaming this, I expect, so other people might be looking and seeing what's going on. So I think Danny, unfortunately, has had some technical problems, and that is the end of his afternoon, or evening, I should say, and that's going to drop him down the field. Unfortunately, he was doing so well, but that has promoted Sally Celtic up into second place, and Donoso now has an over a second lead on the younger Celtic brother. Bianca Lila's now going to get himself promoted up into the podium positions as well. It's been a good drive from the Toro Rosso driver, but he's now got Flying Finn right up in his grill now, and of course Veloce Hyper's not too far behind either. Third, fourth and fifth, so we now have first, second, and then this little pod of third, fourth and fifth.
Yeah, Sally is definitely on course for a win. His tyres are only a lap younger, but he hasn't had the level of fighting that Donoso's had for lap on lap on lap on lap on lap. He did have some, but he's been, you know, he got clear of the pack that he was leading and ran away from it.
Sorry to cut across. Good
Not
battle here between the two Red Bulls further down the field. Garrix and Samuel Libero are swapping positions through that middle sector, which is very nice to see indeed. Some battling lower down the field. Sometimes we can get a bit too focused on the cars in front and neglect the runners who are still driving just as hard, but further down the field he may have had a small incident, and that is Preschneider getting past the AI of Formula Danny there. So Danny's going to start dropping through the field, unfortunately. Will probably end up alongside Jarno Opmeyer towards the end of the field, but a nice little battle there going down. But that is Flying Finn and Bianca Lila battling there through turn one. The Williams up into third place on the podium, and Hypers, I think, went through as well.
He did.
And he's now right on the back of his teammate, and I think his teammate's going to let him go. Yes, indeed he does. So, of course, his teammate Hyper's on that fresher rubber, so it makes sense for Hypers to go through and possibly try and have a charge on Sally Celtic and Fabrizio Donoso, because there is 4 seconds is the gap to the leader, 4 laps or 3.5 laps to go. So, depending on how fast those medium tyres are, Hypers could be on for a very strong finish.
Indeed, indeed. Now you can imagine that Sally is going to take the fight to Donoso. There's the two Williams in the background. I can't imagine they're going to swap around again unless Hypers falls off the road through his own mistake. Hypers is on the right tyre, and he's got the now got the space to be able to push on after the potential top two. But Donoso is not known for making this easy. And if I recall, if I can ask you to double check that. None of those top 3 have penalties. Can you just double check that for me, please, Mr. Nick?
Certainly can.
I don't believe they do, but then I'm pretty bad at remembering things as I've previously mentioned. So whilst the top guys are fairly spread out, comparatively speaking, we have 4 laps to go. Lap 26 has just begun as Donoso leads Sally Celtic by 1.1 seconds up front. There is the Williams pair, Hypers and Flying Finn. They are half a second apart and under 3 seconds behind the top 2. Manuel Bianchi in the Toro Rosso is doing his best to hang on to the back, but he is falling behind them with the medium shot. Toro Rosso behind them is the 2 Mercs. That Preschneider and Daniel Shields. I think Preschneider is on the penalty board. Photon in 8th position. He's a little bit on his own there. Jan Fehler and Collis rounding out the point-paying positions with Formula Danny's unfortunate fall from the top spot. Corny in the Ferrari will gain eventually that 11th spot. He's some distance down the road. Then Garrix has managed to put the racing point of Steve in between himself and his teammate Sam Lebert, who's having a fight with the other McLaren of Lasse. That's not for points, it's just for pride between those guys. Then Mateus, a couple of seconds behind him, there he is. Jarno Otmir, sadly, we lost earlier in the race. It would be interesting to find out what happened to James, but alas, he pulled over and retired his car after what was proving to be a very interesting...
Like I say, I literally saw him retire, and it looked like he was trying to press the pedals down and things weren't responding as they should. So, at a guess, I would say pedal issue or sort of wheel issue of some sort. No penalties affecting the top three. As Hypers goes and sets through, and I think increases his own fastest lap. So
yes.
That's something to remember, of course. A new rule for the 2019 season. Season 18 here on AOR, the fastest lap driver, if they are inside the top 10, will get an extra point in the driver's standings. That is something to be aware of, as there's potentially 21 points available for that, and that does add up to nearly a race win. So it is very important, those little points, if you accrue them over the course of the season. And Hypers, he's closing, but I don't think he's closing enough on Sally Celtic, who is unfortunately, who is just flitting as well. Sally Celtic with that 1 second barrier to Donoso. He's 1.04, 0.07. It's just not quite close enough to get the DRS yet.
I think Sally's going to gun it now. He wants to be in the DRS range to make his attack at the very last possible second so Donoso can't counterattack. I think now is when Sally wants to close that gap, and there it is. He's now under a second. If he can just hold it through these last few turns, he should have DRS, and Hypers is not going to be able to close that down. Hypers needed the top two to be fighting much earlier than they have been. It's been a great drive for Hypers, don't get me wrong, but he needed that to have started to push for further spots up the podium. But right on board with Sally Celtic as we start the penultimate lap of this race. DRS is indeed open on the Alfa Romeo as he dumps what battery energy he can. Hard on the brakes, a bit of a lock up there from Sally as he comes into turn one. That's going to compromise his run through two, but that's closed him to within about 0.8 of a second. It was a little bit less than that until that lock up. There's the two Williams at the top of the shot. So I think now Sally is going to really press on. He wants to make the very last, leave it to the very last second. It's a risky strategy, but I mean, let's face it, if anyone can pull it off, the multiple champion that is Sally Selton certainly can.
Indeed so. So then, I think that's, is that Jan Fehler making a move on Collis? They are going side by side, battling for the last point. And the Renault actually going side by side through this middle sector. And very nice driving from the two of them, giving each other racing room. Collis is going to try and go for the switchback move as they run up towards the tricky braking zone of turn 10. And Collis steps out of that a little bit to try and get himself ready for a launch down the DRS straight. And here he goes, dumping all his energies on hot lap mode at the moment and switching it down to 0 just so he can try and get a little bit more saved for a great run.
Race lead, sorry, Allflattious. I did wonder whether Sully was going to go for the big move into the last corner, but no, he's doing exactly what I thought he was going to do. And Donoso knows it as well. He's gone over to the right-hand side. We are starting the final lap. My voice and my throat are going to die, but what a way for it to go. Here we go then. DRS open on the Alfa. He's gone over to the right. Over to the left, rather. He's gone very deep. He wants the inside for 2. Can the Haas hold him off? Whoa, just. But that's going to give the DRS. Oh no, the DRS to the Haas. So Donoso timed that counter-attack perfectly well. Sully could not get the traction when he needed it, but this is not done at all. Collis and Fehler still having their argument for 9th. There's the two Williams. If these two come off the road, then Hypers and Flyfin will get involved, but it's going to take an impact like that. Look at Sully, he's all over the back of the house. He wants that win. Well, don't they all? But Sully doing everything he can to make the move on Donoso. Into 9, on the outside of 10, knows better than to try a desperate move there. And Donoso just needs the drive when he needs it. A good drive out of turn 10 for Donoso. It's going to DRS for Sally Sultan to bring him back into contention, but not close enough. Into 11. What can Donoso do? What can Sultan do? Let's see as they sweep through 12 and 13. And again, you can see Denoso just adopting the defensive lines. Is Denoso going to defend the inside for the final turn? I should imagine so. But Sunny's not close enough. Has a bit of a jink, but it's not going to be good enough. And out of the final turn. And it's going to be a sprint to the line. DRS open on the out. Oh no, the line's too close. If the line was there, then Sally would have had him. But Denoso takes the win by barely over a tenth of a second from Sally Salto. Hypers.
Oh, sorry, battle across the line, 9th and 10th. They're going to be so close. It's going to be less than a tenth of a second across the line. Jan Fehler, I think, has profited possibly from a penalty there. And we're going to have it's pretty close down the field as well. Corny having to defend P11. And there we go. And that shows just how quickly the race is finished, how close everyone was there. I was watching 13 go across the line and then it all just finished. So everyone very close there. What a final lap. Beautifully commentated, I may say, by the surviving King-Kodiak there. Fantastically done. Fantastic victory from Denoso. Drafted in, of course, as I think second reserve to the league. So it shows how competitive the league is this year. So let's have a look then at the full race results. We have Denoso in first place, Sally Saltuk second, Hypers getting very close there, just about half a second back off in the end. Flying Finn and the Williams in fourth place, Bianca Lila fifth, Prejnader sixth, Photon seventh. Formula Danny has been classified in eighth place. I think that's due to, I'm not quite sure how that's happened. We'll have to investigate that later on. Daniel Shields in ninth, Jan Fehler 10th. Just ahead of Collins, as you can see at the end there, by 0.05 of a second. Garrix in 12th, Corny 13th, Matthias in 14th, Liber in 15th, Steve in 16th there, dropping down with 10 seconds worth of penalties. And then unfortunately we lost Jarno due to a disconnection. Lassie, I think we must have also lost due to a disconnection, but I missed out on that one. James, we think, had a pedal issue. As he was doing very, very well up in the with a sort of strange counter strategy, but it was working very well for him. And Sonic Saltuk, unfortunately, also had issues throughout the afternoon and chose to retire from the Grand Prix. And that is that. What a amazing Bahrain Grand Prix.
Let's see who wants to have a chat to us, shall we? Because this ought to be interesting. Right, so let me silence the crowd so we can actually hear people talking to us. And let's see who is available to chat. Let us have a look. And we have got Formula Danny and Hypers. Brilliant. Let's grab over Hypers first. Hello, Hypers!
Hello.
Well, what can we say about that? Holy moly. So you're closing in. You were you just thinking that the strategy may not have paid off quite as you...
Such qualifying.
Apologies there, my internet decided to freeze for a moment, so I didn't hear a word of your answer. I'll really apologise there.
Race winner in the waiting to be interviewed, so I'm going to try and move him here now. Here we are. Fabrizio, hello. Sorry, I've moved you into the box. Congratulations, of course, on the win. We've been told you had a puncture going across the line.
It is true. I had a puncture in the last few meters. Nearly didn't finish the race, but yeah, thankfully it was just enough to win the race.
Indeed so, and of course you were drafted in fairly last minute due to people not being available. So had you sort of prepared yourself enough for this race? Of course, you weren't 100% sure you would be racing this evening, of course.
I mean, yes, absolutely. I've been training during the week, so I was ready to race. Even though I had like the confirmation to race like 15-30 minutes before the race. So yeah, I was quite happy to be able to do the race. I enjoyed a lot that one. I think everyone did watching those battles. And yeah, it's a good comeback to AOR. I was the luck was on my side today, so can't ask for more.
Brilliantly done for Fabrizio. Brilliantly done. I know it's something that me and Hamish used to talk about. I'm not wanting to kind of hark on about the point, but yeah, were you conscious on, particularly when you were really fighting hard with Danny for the win? Were you sort of really conscious about the lines of the potential for penalties?
Yes. The thing is that I think I had my second warning battling with Danny, so
Wow.
I had I had to do about 15 laps without a warning, which thankfully I was able to do. I was just so focused on the race that I did no mistakes. So yeah, I'm very happy to finish P1 at the end.
And very well deserved. Brilliant effort, Fabrizio. Really hope we see.
Thank you.
We really hope we see more of you as the season progresses.
Thank you.
Who shall we have next, Mr. Allflattious?
We've got a Sally Saltic who we can move into the booth now. Sally, hello. Congratulations. A very good race from yourself. What did you think? Basically, how did you? What's your opinion of that race and your sort of overall performance?
First of all, I'm glad to be back in this commentary box. It's been more than a year. Feels good. No, firstly, congratulations to Fab. He had a really good race, and I was sitting behind him with popcorn watching Danny and Fab battle. And then my race just improved more and more and more. And at the start, I got jumped by Manuel into turn 1 on lap 1, and just was trying to follow him, let him keep the slipstream train going. But I think he kept making mistakes in turn 9 and 10, so we lost that train to the cars ahead at top 4. So eventually they pulled away. I went for the overcut, it worked, came out, and then from there on, just controlling my race, looking after my tires, just focus on my own race. And there were 3-4 cars behind me, as you probably saw, like Flying Finn, Manuel. So pulling away from them was tough, but no, at the end we had a fantastic battle as well, and overall it was a really good race. I enjoyed that. It's good to have a good result after last weekend. Yeah,
last week didn't quite go your way in Australia. Firstly, great honour to be speaking to the Flying Finn. Is it a bit?
Two now.
I was about to say, is it a bit weird having another Flying Finn chasing you?
I mean, yeah, but it's like racing against a mirror, I guess. But no, it's nice to see him in Williams, and I think it's in Williams, right? And it was going good. Just we were both having a good battle, sector time battle, and no, it's nice to see him. And he's actually finished as well, so it's
makes sense. Awesome stuff. Well, what was your expectation coming into tonight's race? Because Australia didn't go too well. You've raced against most of this field quite a lot. Let's be fair. Where were you thinking on where you were going to sit in the pecking order for Bahrain?
I don't want to come across as cocky or anything like that, but I knew if I started top 5, I had the chance. And in Australia last weekend, I had a combination of many issues, as I said on Twitter. But there was no point in me complaining. It was just best to just focus on the next race and deliver the result I just did now. So it will be the same process for next weekend as well. And overall, I just want to fight for wins, and I know I can fight for wins. But as you know, this league is tough, especially being in this league against these fantastic drivers. You need everything to go right for you to have a chance at the win. And today, more or less, most of it went good. So it's tough against these guys. But if everything goes well, then you got a chance.
Great stuff. It's great to see you and your brother. Unfortunately, Sonic's not having quite such a great start, but hopefully hopefully his luck improves as the season progresses.
Yeah, I can step in for him in this side. Normally I don't defend him too much, but no, his pace was pretty much similar to us in qualifying and race, but his game crashed in qualifying. He just literally couldn't even do that properly, so his game crashed, and then when he rejoined, he couldn't get into his rhythm. But hopefully we'll see him bounce back stronger in the future, and he's quick. He's not having the best of times.
Yeah, we've
had 2 races of a 21 race season. There's a
long way to go. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Thank you, Sally, and we cannot wait for what the season gives us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Let's grab Formula Danny over, shall we?
Go on then.
As he's been waiting very patiently. There he is, Mr. Bersney.
Yeah.
Hello, Danny. You know I love talking to you. Well, not how you wanted to end today, I'm sure. What happened?
I can read you the exact text because I shoot a photo. The D3D device has been removed. Updating your drivers or changing your graphics texture settings to lower the video RAM requirements. DirectX error, probably. I don't know why, because it never happened to me, and because of esports I practice quite a lot. I have over 200 hours in the game, and this is the first time that I had a crash like that. So it was the thing that I'm very disappointed that Stan did such a good race like that with Fabrizio. It was very strategical by my side. I saw from the map that he is in traffic, and also my Hungarian friends told me that he is in traffic. So I didn't pit for another 2 laps, and I had a good tire save. And after, with fresh tires, I knew that I can battle him till the end, and I also strategically planned to make him battle me as hard as he can to kill his tires by the end. And as you know, in the last corner, even without me, even with the crash, he had a puncture. So it was working very great to have a Sally Danny 1-2, in my opinion, but hopefully we can have a great result in the next 19 rounds too.
I have no doubt on that one, Danny. We've seen many times what you're capable of. You and Fabrizio have crossed swords many times, and we look forward to seeing it as the season progresses. Before my lungs collapse, I am going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. A great pleasure to have you with us. Thank you, Mr. Allflattious, for saving my voice and keeping me on the straight and narrow. A great pleasure to have you in the box with me, sir.
Oh, it is a pleasure as always.
Thank you very much to our incredible drivers for putting on a great show again, and we are going to be spoilt with this season, I think, with the level of talent that we have and the level of racing that we are getting. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Without you guys, AOR would not continue to grow, and we will indeed be back for China next week, but there's plenty of racing going on in between then and now, so come back to us then. Thank you very much, and good night!